Throwaway because I don't want this tied to my main. I, 34M, have been married to my wife, 32F, for a little over 6 years. On paper, everything looked fine. Not perfect, but stable. We had routines, inside jokes, shared bills, shared friends, the usual stuff you convince yourself is enough. But if I'm being brutally honest, things started feeling off about a year ago. At first it was small. She got sharper with me. Like, weirdly defensive over nothing. I'd ask a normal question, "Hey, are you coming home for dinner?" And she'd snap back like I accused her of something. She also started lying about stupid things. Not even big lies. Just pointless ones. Like saying she was at work when I later found out she left early. Or saying she didn't see a message when I literally saw her online. I brushed it off. Told myself she was stressed. Work had been rough for her, and I didn't want to be that paranoid husband. But then the late nights started. At first, once a week. Then more. Always some excuse, coworker drinks, team emergencies, random errands that somehow took 4 hours. And every time I tried to talk about it, she'd flip it on me. Call me controlling. Say I was imagining things. And yeah. I started questioning myself. But deep down, there was this constant, quiet feeling that something wasn't right. So yeah. I tried to ignore that gut feeling. For a while, at least. But then her phone basically became a third person in our marriage. She used to leave it around all the time, on the couch, kitchen counter, whatever. Suddenly, it was glued to her hand. Screen always facing down. Notifications turned off. If I walked into the room while she was texting, she'd lock it instantly. Like muscle memory. The first time I noticed it, I laughed it off. Joked, "What, you planning a surprise party or something?" She didn't laugh. She just looked at me and said, "Can you not start?" That stuck with me. Then one night, around 2 a.m., her phone lit up while she was in the shower. I wasn't even trying to snoop. I just happened to see the screen light up on the nightstand. No name. Just a number. But the preview message? "Miss you already." Yeah. My stomach dropped. Like that instant, cold, hollow feeling. You know something's wrong before your brain even catches up. I didn't open it. Honestly, I froze. Just sat there staring at the screen like an idiot until it went dark again. And then I did something I'm not proud of, I started paying attention. Like really paying attention. Over the next few days, everything felt louder. Her lies didn't even try to make sense anymore. She'd say she was at work, but I'd hear background noise that definitely wasn't an office. She started going out dressed differently too. Not for me. Not like before. More like she was trying to impress someone else. And the weirdest part? She seemed happier. Lighter. Just not with me. That's when it stopped feeling like paranoia and started feeling like something I couldn't ignore anymore. I just didn't have proof. Not yet. I told myself I wouldn't become that guy who spies on his wife. Yeah, that lasted maybe 3 days. The turning point was a random Tuesday. She texted me around 6 p.m. saying she had to stay late because of some urgent meeting. Same script as always. I just replied, "Okay," and tried to act normal. But something about that message felt copy-pasted. Like she didn't even bother making it believable anymore. Around 8 p.m., I checked our shared bank account. Not something I usually do, just impulse. There was a charge from a restaurant. Not just any place, one we used to go to on anniversaries. Not cheap, not casual. Definitely not somewhere you grab a quick solo dinner after work. My heart started racing, but I still tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a team dinner. Maybe I was overthinking. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I drove there. I didn't even plan it. I just grabbed my keys and went. The whole drive felt unreal, like I was watching myself in third person thinking, what the hell are you doing? When I got there, I almost turned around. Sat in the car for a solid minute, hands shaking, trying to convince myself to leave. I didn't. I walked in, trying to act like I belonged there. My eyes were scanning every table, but at the same time I didn't want to find anything. And then I saw her. Sitting across from some guy I'd never seen before. They weren't just talking. They were leaning in, smiling like we used to. Her hand was on the table, and his fingers were literally brushing hers. That casual, intimate kind of touch you don't even think about unless you're close to someone. I swear my brain just shut off for a second. No dramatic music. No explosion. Just this quiet, crushing realization. I wasn't crazy. And whatever this was, it wasn't new. I didn't walk up to them. I know some people would have made a scene right there, flipped the table, called her out, all that. Honestly? I thought about it for a split second. But I didn't. Instead, I just stood there like an idiot, half hidden behind a pillar, watching my own marriage fall apart over a candlelit dinner. She laughed at something he said. Not a polite laugh, a real one. The kind I hadn't heard from her in months. That hit harder than anything. Then it got worse. The waiter came, poured them wine. 2 glasses. They clinked them together like they were celebrating something. And then, I wish I was making this up, she reached across the table and actually held his hand. Not subtle. Not accidental. Like they'd done it 100 times before. That's when my chest started feeling tight. Not anger, not yet. Just this heavy pressure, like something inside me was collapsing in slow motion. I took out my phone. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped it, but I managed to take a couple of pictures. Blurry, but clear enough. Proof. I don't even remember leaving the restaurant. 1 second I was there, the next I was back in my car staring at nothing. I checked the time. 8:47 p.m., her urgent meeting. I sat there for a long time, just going over every little thing from the past year. All the weird behavior, the lies, the fights she started out of nowhere. It all started lining up in a way that made me feel physically sick. And then my phone buzzed. It was her. Still at work. Don't wait up, red heart. That stupid heart emoji. Something in me snapped, but not the way you'd expect. I didn't reply. Didn't call her out. I just went along with it. Because at that point, I realized something important. If she was lying this easily, this comfortably, then this wasn't the first time. And if I wanted the truth, I was going to have to play dumb a little longer. I told myself I wouldn't become the chill husband. Or at least, I played the part. When she got home that night, it was almost midnight. I was on the couch pretending to watch some random show I couldn't even follow. My heart was pounding like crazy, but I forced myself to look up and just smile. Hey. Long day? She barely looked at me. Kicked off her shoes, dropped her bag, and said, yeah. Exhausting. Meetings all evening. No hesitation. No guilt. Just smooth, automatic lying. That messed with my head more than anything. I nodded like an idiot. Yeah, figured. She went straight to the kitchen, poured herself a glass of wine, which was kind of ironic considering I had just seen her drinking with him, and started scrolling on her phone. Same behavior. Screen angled away. That quick thumb movement when I shifted even slightly in her direction. I kept it together, somehow. We made small talk. Actually, she made small talk. About work drama, some coworker she can't stand, random stuff that felt so fake it was almost surreal. Like she was overcompensating. At one point, I asked, casually, who was at the meeting. Big mistake. She paused for half a second. Barely noticeable, but I caught it. Then she shrugged. Just the usual team. Why? And there it was again. That edge in her voice again. Defensive. Like I'd crossed a line just by asking a normal question. I backed off. No reason. Just curious. She rolled her eyes. You're being weird lately. That almost made me laugh. I'm being weird? I wanted to pull out my phone right then and there. Show her the pictures. Watch her try to explain that. But I didn't. Instead, I said something I never thought I'd say in this situation. Yeah, maybe I am. Sorry. And that was it. She relaxed instantly. Like the tension just disappeared because I folded. That's when it really clicked for me. She wasn't just cheating. She was used to controlling the narrative. And I had just confirmed, in her mind, that I still could. After that night, something in me shifted. I stopped reacting. No more questioning her. No more trying to fix things. I just observed. Quietly. Carefully. Like I was studying a stranger I happened to live with. And once I stopped confronting her, she got sloppy. Really sloppy. She started going out even more. Sometimes she wouldn't even bother with detailed excuses anymore. Just, I'm out with coworkers, or don't wait up. That was it. No effort. One night she left her laptop open on the kitchen table. That never used to happen. I stared at it for a solid minute, arguing with myself. Because at this point, I already knew what was going on. I didn't need more proof. But I wanted it. So I checked. Her messages were open. Not even hidden deep, just right there. And yeah, there he was. Different name than the number from before, but same tone. Same energy. Scrolling through that chat felt like getting punched over and over again. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Plans they'd made. Complaints about me. That part hit different. She's literally acting like my roommate at this point, she wrote. I had to stop reading for a second after that. Roommate. 6 years of marriage, and that's what I'd been reduced to in her eyes. But it got worse. There were pictures. Nothing explicit, but enough. Selfies together. One where she's leaning into him, smiling like she used to smile at me. And then I saw the message that made everything crystal clear. Last night was perfect. Wish we didn't have to sneak around. Yeah. So it wasn't just emotional. It was physical. And it had been for a while. I closed the laptop slowly, like somehow that would make it hurt less. It didn't. I just stood there in the kitchen, staring at nothing, feeling empty. Not even angry anymore. Just done. But the craziest part? When she came home later, she acted completely normal again. Like none of it existed. And I played along. Because now, I wasn't looking for the truth anymore. I already had it. Now I was deciding what to do with it. Once I knew for sure, I thought I'd explode. Like, I always imagined that if I ever got cheated on, I'd go full confrontation mode. Yelling, throwing words, demanding answers. But that's not what happened. Instead, I got cold. Not in a dramatic way. Just quiet. Detached. Like a switch flipped somewhere inside me and everything emotional just dulled out. I started noticing things I used to ignore. How she'd only touch me when it was convenient for her. How conversations with me felt forced, but she'd light up at her phone. How she'd get irritated over the smallest things, like I was an inconvenience in her life. And the lies. God, the lies became almost impressive. One morning she told me she had an early meeting across town. Left the house dressed way nicer than usual for work. I just nodded, said, "Good luck," and watched her leave. Then, about an hour later, I checked her location. Yeah, we had that turned on. She either forgot or didn't care. She wasn't anywhere near her office. She was at a hotel. I stared at the map for a long time, hoping it was some kind of glitch. Maybe she was meeting a client there. Maybe. No. I knew better. I even zoomed in, like that would somehow change the reality of it. It didn't. And here's the messed up part, I didn't even feel surprised. Just, confirmed. That was the moment it fully sank in that I wasn't dealing with a mistake or a rough patch. This was a full-blown double life. And I was the extra in it. That day, I went to work like nothing happened. Sat through meetings, answered emails, even laughed at a joke someone made. Meanwhile, in the back of my head, I kept picturing her in that hotel room with him. It was like my brain wouldn't let me escape it. That's when the anger finally started creeping in. Slow. Heavy. Controlled. Not explosive. But dangerous. The anger didn't hit all at once. It built up slowly, like pressure in a sealed container. At first, I kept it under control. Told myself to stay rational. Don't do anything stupid. Don't lose leverage. Just, wait. But then she pushed it. A few nights after the hotel thing, she came home late again. Same routine, shoes off, bag down, straight to her phone. Didn't even acknowledge me at first. I was sitting at the table, just watching her. And for some reason, I decided to test her. "Hey," I said, calm. "How was work?" She sighed. Actually sighed like I was annoying her. "Fine." "Why?" I shrugged. "Just asking." She poured herself water, leaned against the counter, scrolling. Same boring stuff. Meetings, emails, you know. I nodded slowly. "Busy day?" I asked. She didn't even look up. "Yeah. Back-to-back meetings." That's when I said it. "Interesting. Must have been a long meeting at that hotel then." Silence. Not the normal kind. The heavy kind. The kind that fills the whole room. She froze. Just for a second, but it was enough. Then she turned to me, eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" And there it was again. Lie number 1. Immediate. Automatic. I leaned back in my chair, studying her. "I saw your location." She didn't miss a beat. "Oh my God, are you serious right now? I had a client meeting there." "Not everything is about you." Lie number 2. Bigger. Sharper. No hesitation. No shame. Something in me snapped a little right there. Not outwardly. I didn't yell. But internally? Yeah. That was the moment I realized just how far she was willing to go to protect whatever this was. I let out a quiet breath. Right. A client. She rolled her eyes. "You're being paranoid." It's honestly exhausting. Exhausting. That word echoed in my head. Like I was the problem. Like I was the one damaging the relationship. And suddenly, all that controlled anger started boiling over. Because it wasn't just the cheating anymore. It was the disrespect. The manipulation. The way she looked me dead in the eye and lied like I was too stupid to notice. I stood up slowly. And that's when things really started to escalate. I stood up, but not in some dramatic, aggressive way. Slow. Controlled. Honestly, I surprised myself with how calm I looked on the outside. Inside? Complete chaos. I walked over to the counter, pulled out my phone, and unlocked it. My hands weren't even shaking anymore. That part was gone. Replaced by something colder. Client, right? I said quietly. She crossed her arms, already defensive. Yes. I don't know why that's so hard for you to understand. I nodded once. Then I turned the screen toward her. The photos. Her at the restaurant. Sitting across from him. Smiling. Holding his hand. For a second, just a second, her face dropped. Like the mask slipped. And there it was. The truth. No excuses, no attitude. Just pure, oh shit. But it didn't last. She recovered fast. Faster than I expected. Oh my God, she said, shaking her head. Are you seriously spying on me now? I actually laughed. I couldn't help it. Not because it was funny. Because it was insane. You're gonna go with that? I asked. That's your move? She shrugged, like this was all beneath her. I went out to dinner with a colleague. Big deal. You're acting like I committed a crime. Line number 3. Minimization. Deflection. Classic. I stared at her, trying to understand how someone could twist reality this easily. So holding hands with your colleague is normal now? I said. She rolled her eyes again. Oh please. It was a moment. You're blowing this way out of proportion. A moment. That word hit differently. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I messed up. Just, a moment. Like 6 years of marriage could be reduced to something accidental. I felt something in my chest tighten again, but this time it wasn't anger. It was clarity. You were at a hotel with him, I said. That one landed. She hesitated. Finally. But even then, she didn't fold. She just looked at me, cold as ever, and said. You're really going through my location now? That's actually creepy. That word kept echoing in my head. Creepy. Like I was the problem here. Like tracking my own wife, who was clearly lying and cheating, somehow made me the villain in this situation. I just stared at her for a second, trying to process how detached from reality she sounded. Creepy? I repeated quietly. You're cheating on me, and I'm creepy? She didn't even flinch. I'm not cheating, she said flatly. You're just twisting things because you're insecure. That almost impressed me. The confidence. The complete refusal to acknowledge anything. She wasn't even trying to make her lies believable anymore, she was just denying reality outright. And for a split second, I actually questioned myself again. That's the scary part. When someone lies to you that consistently, that confidently, it starts messing with your head. But then I remembered the messages. The hotel. The photos. No. I wasn't crazy. You told him last night was perfect, I said. That one hit harder. Her expression changed, just slightly, but enough. You read my messages, she snapped. There it was. Not denial. Not confusion. Just anger that she got caught. I let out a slow breath. Yeah. I did. She laughed. Actually laughed. But it wasn't a happy laugh, it was sharp, almost mocking. Wow, she said. So now you're invading my privacy too? That's real healthy. I shook my head. You're seriously trying to flip this on me right now? She threw her hands up. Because you're acting insane. You're spying, going through my stuff, tracking me. Because you're cheating. I finally raised my voice. That was the first time. The word hung in the air between us. Cheating. Real. Direct. No more dancing around it. She went quiet. For a moment, I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe she'll finally admit it. Maybe she'll show something. Guilt. Regret. Anything. Instead, she looked me straight in the eye and said, "If you actually paid attention to me, maybe I wouldn't have to find it somewhere else." That sentence just froze everything. For a second, I genuinely didn't know how to respond. Not because it was complicated, but because it was so twisted it felt unreal. If you actually paid attention to me. Like I hadn't been there. I laughed quietly. So this is my fault now? I asked. She shrugged. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you stopped trying a long time ago. I nodded slowly. Interesting. You're being dramatic, she said. This isn't as big as you're making it. I nodded slowly. You're right. It's not big. She blinked. I didn't notice things fast enough, I said. But let's be honest, this didn't start because I stopped trying. It started when you decided I wasn't enough anymore. Silence. She said nothing. And in that silence I realized something. She wasn't scared of losing me. She was scared of losing control of the story. That realization changed the tone of everything. You're being dramatic, she said again. This isn't as big as you're making it. I nodded slowly. You're right. It's not big. She blinked. I'm just done being part of whatever this is. That was the first time her face fully changed. After that, the conversation basically stopped being a conversation. It turned into two people standing in the same room, speaking different languages. She kept circling back to the same points, that I was overreacting, that I invaded her privacy, that I was ruining everything over assumptions. But it all sounded rehearsed now. Like she'd said it so many times in her head that it stopped needing to be true. At one point she actually said, "You're not thinking clearly." And I remember just nodding slowly. Because in her mind, the only explanation for me not accepting her lies was that I must be unstable. Not that she got caught. Not that she did it. Me. That was the final layer of it. I walked past her into the bedroom and started grabbing a bag. Not dramatically. No throwing things. No storming out. Just packing. That's when she followed me. "You're really doing this?" she asked, voice sharper now. Less controlled. I didn't look up. Yes. You're going to leave because of this? I paused for a second, then finally looked at her. This is because you already left. You just didn't tell me. That made her stop. For the first time, she didn't have a response ready. You'll regret this, she said eventually. I already regret staying this long, I replied. I left that night. Not after another argument. Not after some dramatic final exchange. Just. I picked up my bag, walked past her, and went out the door. She didn't stop me. She stood in the hallway for a few seconds like she might say something else, but whatever she had ready didn't come out. The silence between us in that moment felt heavier than everything that had been said that night. I stayed at a friend's place for a while after that. The first few days were weird, not because I missed her, but because my brain kept expecting new lies, new arguments, new emotional swings. Eventually, I started thinking more clearly about everything. Not in terms of revenge or anger anymore, but patterns. She didn't suddenly become someone else overnight. The cheating wasn't some isolated breakdown. It was a series of choices she made while also choosing to keep me in the dark and make me question my own reality. And that part mattered more than the cheating itself. Because it showed me something I didn't want to admit. I wasn't just betrayed. I was managed. Like a problem to be handled, not a partner to be honest with. The last time I spoke to her was through messages about logistics, moving things, separating accounts, lawyers eventually getting involved. Even then, she tried to twist it into something else, but I didn't engage anymore. There was nothing left to argue about. Looking back, I think the biggest thing I learned is this. People don't always leave you loudly. Sometimes they leave you slowly, while still sitting next to you on the couch, still eating dinner with you, still saying, "I love you," when it's convenient. And if you're not paying attention, you'll start believing the version of reality they're selling you instead of the one that's actually happening. If I could tell someone in a similar situation anything, it would be this. Don't ignore patterns just because the truth feels uncomfortable. Because by the time it becomes undeniable, you're usually already far past the point where it could have been fixed. And once trust is gone and replaced with manipulation, there's usually nothing left to save, just the illusion that there is.